Today we visit a garden oasis nestled in the heart of a bustling city, as well as get a behind-the-scenes view at an amazing sculptural exhibit. You won't want to miss it, so stay tuned as we garden smart in Georgia.
DRAM is celebrating 75 years of design and manufacturing of quality watering tools. DRAM products feature 9 water patterns and are designed to nurture your plants with a shower of rain. DRAM for lawn and garden, available at garden centers near you.
Bring the outdoors into your everyday life. Bass Pro Shops can outfit all your adventures, even those in your backyard. Bass Pro Shops, your adventure starts here.
Whether your idea of the perfect rose is a rambler, tea, shrub, or climber, Bear Advanced makes a rose care product designed to feed and protect them against insects and disease. Get more from the blue bottle.
Hey there, little Red Riding Hood. You sure are get good.
In 1973, a group of civic-minded Atlantans proposed the idea of a botanical garden for the city. A few short years later, their dream became reality when in 1976 the Atlanta Botanical Garden was born. The tireless task of converting 30 acres in downtown into a world-class garden continued, and over the next 3 decades they gained national notoriety for their collections and their amazingly well-designed gardens. Today they attract over 500,000 visitors. Just a few of the garden's notable attractions are the Fuqua Orchid Center, the Canopy Walk, the Parterre Garden, and a new restaurant with a James Beard Award-winning chef. Throughout the year, there are also many seasonal exhibits that invite visitors to experience the gardens in a whole new way. Today, they are spotlighting the work of internationally acclaimed artist Dale Chihuly, who incorporates a kaleidoscope of color into each of his amazing sculptures. Our guide today is horticulturist Amanda Bennett, who has been here for 14 years and oversees all of the outdoor gardens. She's a savvy designer, a seasoned plants person, and a wealth of knowledge about the gardens. I can't wait to see what she has in store for us today. Amanda, welcome back to the show.
Thanks.
It's so nice to spend another day with you. You've had an amazing career in horticulture. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, I grew up on a farm in the eastern part of the state, and I couldn't imagine what I'd do with my life, but it wasn't going to be inside. So I went to the University of Georgia, landed in horticulture, went to the Chicago Botanic for my internship, figured out public gardening is where I wanted to be, and started my official career here at the Atlanta Botanical Garden.
Things are always changing here. Of course, we hear the jackhammers in the background,
Yep.
breaking ground on something new, I'm assuming, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Things are always changing. I say people think of gardens as kind of static places. We are most definitely not that. Since 2010, we have opened multiple new gardens here, refreshed multiple gardens, and the jackhammers you hear in the background is another garden slated to open next year.
That's awesome. So you never get bored.
Never get bored, no.
What are some of the events that you have going on throughout the year at the garden?
Well, this year, as you see behind us, the Chihuly and the Garden is our big event for this year, our big art exhibit. We're open Wednesday through Sunday evenings and Tuesday through Sunday during the day for this event. We also will be opening our new children's garden this year. We renovated the children's garden, so it'll be open. Later in the year, everybody loves our scarecrow exhibit. It'll be back and better than ever in the children's garden, and then we'll roll straight into holiday lights again.
That's great. We have a ton of plants to show us. Let's dive in.
All right.
One of the hottest trends in gardening, and has been so for some time, is edible plants. And as you know, it's people getting more connected to where their food comes from, and I think there's something thrilling about just seeing, you know, what we're going to eat on the plant, picking it fresh off the plant. It's one of my favorite types of gardening, and it's super exciting.
It is. This is by far one of our most popular gardens we have here. People love to come in, they ask us tons of questions, and it's great to show people where their food's coming from, what the plant actually looks like before the vegetables get harvested, and even what they look like when they're harvested.
This is a dual purpose garden, so you've got, this is what squash looks like, this
Yep.
is what cantaloupe looks like, but it's also very elegantly designed. And so you're using these plants that we don't traditionally think of as a plant that we're going to incorporate into a garden design, and you've done a wonderful job of that.
Well, thank you. It is highly designed. This is a display garden using vegetables. That's a key point in the design, because we really do want to highlight how colorful and pretty and structural vegetables can be when in combination with one another. They don't have to be kind of relegated to themselves and not appreciated how beautiful they are. We do have the highly designed raised garden spaces where we really play texture and color against each other. And then we have the row crops that highlight kind of agricultural background of Georgia, where you really think of those big long row crops where things are harvested.
Yeah, there's so much great texture and color and form with vegetables, and oftentimes we don't think about those plants as this beautiful ornamental, but here we've got these wonderful, like the squash back here, and right in front of that the purple basil, the globe basil, and so you're getting dark foliage, big spiky leaves. It's really, really well done.
Well, thank you.
But also you've got a number of containers that are a wonderful exhibition of what you can do. Say you only have a patio or a back deck.
Yeah.
You can still grow vegetables.
You definitely can, and we're very aware of that not everybody in the city has land that they can grow things on. A lot of people are relegated to having pots, and we'd like to show you that you too can grow vegetables in your pots. We have a whole array of sizes. Most of the things that are in our pots are kind of bred or do really well in pots, so you can get a good bit of production out of just having pots.
There are so many wonderful dwarf vegetables and plants that work so well in containers, and keeping that in mind, we're going to plant a container. What plants are designed for that really tight, compact space? You've got a wonderful planter over here with a columnar apple tree. So much better than planting a tree that is going to want to get 20 feet tall.
Right, exactly.
They're going to stay really, really tight, and definitely it's a way we want to think about design in containers. What's designed to work that way? What's going to perform best, and that's where you get the great results.
Yep, and you can get a great harvest just out of containers.
You have many different unusual ways of using fruiting plants and vegetables in this garden, and I want you to talk about some of the ones that you particularly like, or ones that are really nice ways of showing those plants off.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, right behind us are some of our marquee trees, the espaliers. We have several throughout this garden. And it's a French way of pruning them, and they're really well suited for small spaces because they grow flat on a wall and you can get a lot of production out of them. We have a green wall right now that's kind of a little bit more along the lines of a kitchen companion style garden. We have lots of different shrubs that are permanent here as well. We understand not everybody can switch their vegetables out or have the time or the money to do it, so we have permanent plantings here that help with that. Blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, figs, all of these things stay year-round and produce fruit pretty heftily.
Well, that's a great way to think about the vegetable garden, and especially from an ornamental standpoint, is giving it more structure, adding the vertical elements. You've got these beautiful fig trees and the pomegranate hedge, and it makes the garden not only more interesting, but in many ways more functional too. You're not having
Absolutely.
You're not worrying about this giant swath of soil
Right.
that's got to be completely populated, and I think it's a nice way of also utilizing these plants and well, maybe making that kind of gardening a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think it definitely does. Gives people some different ideas and different perspective on what they could do at their house.
You have a green wall. I'm sure you get asked about that all the time.
Yep.
Would that be a practical thing for me as a home gardener, do you think?
It would be for the very ambitious home gardener. They probably take a little bit more work. It's doable, you just got to do your homework on it. But if you're not that ambitious and want to come see ours, we have it on display all year.
Wonderful. One thing I think is really nice to see among all the other vegetables and fruiting plants here is some of the aquatic plants you have, and I can't say that we often get to see rice growing on display, and
Right.
you have it here.
We do. So that's one of the little bit odder displays I think we do in the edible garden. We do try to show those things that traditionally are grown in aquatic environments. This year we have growing rice, which is probably one of our most popular of the aquatic crops that we do. We have lotus growing in the pond this year, but in the past we've done taro, we've done water chestnuts. There's actually quite a variety of things that grow in water that are edibles.
And these are pretty low maintenance plants also. If you've got standing water and it's not, getting really, really dry, you can grow rice fairly easily.
Yeah, if you got a home pond and you're just looking for something different and quirky to do, maybe one of these is the choice for you.
Some of the highest color impact plants that we use in the garden are annuals, and there's almost every imaginable color of foliage and flower type and in all different sizes. And especially in a display garden that's public, like this one, you're changing these beds out all the time. And what are the things that you have to keep in mind just from a standpoint of keeping the soil healthy and keeping the plants looking great?
It is a very planned out process. We do 2 change-outs a year at the Atlanta Botanical Garden, once around April and once around October. Some other gardens do it more frequently, but we choose to do 2 and have the plantings last for their full seasons. And we do a full bed prep in between each one of them. We use a lot of compost here. We find that that's one of the best ways to keep your soil healthy. Not only are you adding a nutrient content to it, but you're also adding all of those good microbes and all that good stuff to amp your soil back up again. So the native Georgia soil is not a bad one to start with, but it takes a little bit of work to get it happy for most plants to be able to grow in it.
Between seasons, Amanda, do you till under the annuals that you had in the bed, or are those removed and then composted off-site and then you add fresh compost?
Yeah, we actually do remove all of the plants. Many of them are composted here on site. We have a big composting program here.
Well, these plants look really happy. And from a nutritional standpoint, what are you doing? Does the compost have everything they need, or are you often supplementing with fertilizer?
Yeah, we do a little bit of both. For our permanent plantings, we find that the compost is enough. It adds great nutritional value as well as the good microbes back into the soil. But for annuals, it takes a little bit more. In the summer, you get that real hot heat, and then in the winter, you can get some cold temperatures. It takes a little bit more to get them over those humps. So we do a combination of slow release fertilizer as well as a regular schedule of liquid fertilizer.
Every time I visit the garden, all the beds look really, really well grown in. I would say it's very rare that I would show up and say, oh, maybe that was just planted last week. And I'm assuming you're starting with a larger plant in this setting, right?
We are, and thank you. That's the effect we go for. We work with a lot of great local and regional growers to get a little bit bigger size plants than most people might grow. But we have to have that instant impact. We don't want it to look like it was just freshly planted when our guests come in. So for the stuff that's a little harder to find or harder to get bigger sizes on, we keep it from year to year ourselves. But we have great relationships with growers.
What kind of things should we keep in mind when designing with annuals?
Yeah, we think of them kind of as the icing on the cake. So this is the pretty. This is where you can really have fun and do different stuff and different combinations, get very colorful. If you have a garden space and you want annuals that's real close up and you're going to be spending, a little bit more intimate up close time sitting next to them or meandering next to them, the small flowers, dainty flowers may be a good choice for that. But if you have big expanses or you're going to see it from afar, doing big blocks of color, the basic principles of contrasting colors always applies. And we really don't like to see real tall plants next to really short plants. That's a little too abrupt for us. So we try for a succession of heights as well.
Right. And what would you recommend from a color standpoint? In the past, I've done annual plantings in my garden, and sometimes it's great, and other times it's pretty garish. They just don't work.
Well, you're not the only one. We do here as well. We evaluate our annuals every year to see which are our successes and which ones need a little bit more work. But we do look at it from year to year to see how well the color reads, how true the color is, and if the plants truly lasted the whole season. We really don't switch a lot of stuff out mid-season. We really want it to last from April till October, and we have some tried and true plants that do that. And paying attention to how clear the colors are next to each other, just taking a step back, and if you don't think that it looks fairly attractive, that's what's the most important.
Tropical plants are often an overlooked item when we're doing garden design, but they're super high impact, and it's a place where we can pick up this giant, dense, lush foliage. The effect is fantastic.
It sure is, yeah. We love using tropicals here. Sometimes in April they might not look like so much when you're first buying them, but they put on massive amounts of growth as soon as it gets warm. I tell people all the time, don't be afraid to shop your indoor plant section. They do just fine in Atlanta in the outdoors.
So those plants at the end of the season, we can also bring them inside, right?
You can, yeah. A lot of the indoor plants do fantastic for us in the outdoors during the summer, and then in the winter season, turn them right back into houseplants again.
Amanda, what are some of your favorite tropicals?
Elephant ears for sure. We have all kinds of shapes, sizes, colors, heights around here. They're just one of the easiest ways to get big, impactful color. And they may look small when you first put them in, but they pick up and grow quickly once it gets hot. And then probably my next favorite one is shrimp plant. You see it in Florida a lot. It can be hedged in Florida, but here we let it go and it has beautiful yellow spikes of color on it. You can't match it, you can't beat it anywhere.
And some of the best foliage plants, and many of them are annuals, like coleus, fall into this broader category of tropicals, but they're too good to omit, I think.
Oh, they are, for sure. I grew up planting coleus, then the sun coleuses came out. We use them all over the place here, and a lot of people know that plant, but look around your garden center and pair it up with some stuff you might not think to plant.
Using sculpture in the garden is a great way to create focal points and also just these interesting pops of color. And the sculpture that you have on display for this wonderful exhibit, they're just amazing. What can you tell us about the artist?
Well, thank you very much. It is an amazing show. Chihuly is the artist. He's based out of Seattle, Washington, and has done exhibitions all over the world in his career.
So many of these are designed to look like plants, right?
Yeah, he takes his inspiration from nature. He expressly doesn't necessarily name them after plants or, you know, we have signs with a lot of them and they don't necessarily suggest something because as a true artist, he wants people to interpret them how they want to interpret them.
I love the really exciting colors, and many of these are colors that we don't find naturally occurring. And the juxtaposition of these really like strong angles and design with the, you know, the soft plant palettes that they're interspersed is really amazing.
It is. Whenever we have a sculpture show here, it's not necessarily the sculpture. We take the whole landscape that's around it into account because it is the whole thing that people are coming to see. So around the Chihuly pieces, some of them have their own annual beds that were designed in conjunction with the pieces. And then the piece that's behind us, for instance, settled in and worked so well with the plantings around it that nothing additional was needed.
How do these pieces get put together? They look very intricate.
What I think a lot of people don't realize is that for all of these pieces, it is each individual pieces of glass. For some of the sunburst type pieces we have, all of those are individual pieces that the team comes in and puts together. And it takes different lengths of time to put them together, but on average it takes 2 or 3 days for them to put each one of our pieces together.
It's quite a production.
It is, yeah.
Now, Chihuly doesn't often repeat exhibitions, especially at the same location.
Right.
It's the second Chihuly at the Atlanta Botanic Gardens. What's
is.
different this time over when he was here a few years ago?
Yeah, well, we do feel incredibly privileged that he agreed to come back to our site because that is not something that he does regularly. But he did see how much the garden has changed since he was here last. And I think for that reason, he put together a very different show than last time. I think for visitors who came last time, they noticed there were a lot more multicolored pieces, a lot more chandelier types is a term that he uses. This go around is a little bit different. He, uses a little bit more monochromatic pieces, big scale pieces we have through the garden. We have over 20 displays throughout the garden and 2 permanent ones that we still had from the show last time.
Amanda, there are so many amazing sculptures in the garden. It would take us the better part of a day to see all of them. I want you to give us just a quick walking tour through them, if you would.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the piece behind us is the very first piece that you come to. It is stunning, and it looks very different at night. So I encourage guests who like this kind of art or think they may want to come visit to consider seeing it at night as well, because many of these pieces look totally different at night. You can't go wrong. Anywhere you turn in the garden, there's probably a piece of chihuly not too far. Just make sure you have enough time to come and see it, and have a nice leisurely time. You know, don't come and do the checklist of seeing them all, but they're really meant to be experienced, and the gardens around them are meant to be experienced. If you head down into the woodlands, there's a huge installation of these beautiful lavender type of spikes, which in that garden's very shady, kind of a little bit downplayed, but that piece of art just brings this whole other element of color and life to that garden. Just beyond that is a 20-foot tall neon tower.
Wow.
Yeah, it is breathtaking, and it has a linear pool that it reflects into. Probably one of the most photographed pieces we have here is the piece down in Stores of Woods. If you go back up, one of our all-time favorite pieces of permanent garden, Earth Goddess, is also displayed with chihuly. So she has been planted this year with colors that complement all of the chihuly pieces around here, and those are floating in boats. Again, a totally different look from the rest of the woodlands you get. Coming over onto the display side of the garden, we have two chihuly pieces that were donated to us from the last show. One of them's in the visitor center, and then one of them is in the parterre garden. The blue and white is its name. Chihuly pieces all have their own name, so we kind of get to affectionately refer to all of them by their personal names. But you go through that garden, and they're just more big sunbursts, and you can tell that he was really inspired by something of a puffball or a sun type nature on that side of the garden. We do have pieces in the conservatory and the orchid center, and there's some of the smaller pieces. I think most people think of him as doing these incredibly large sculptures, but these range in size only from about 2 or 3 feet, and we have more of his neon pieces on the inside as well. Then probably one of my favorite pieces is a repeat from our last show. Is a beautiful cranes that really match the fountain and the mosaic of the fountain around it. It's a little bit understated, but it's very elegant.
So what is the process of determining where each sculpture is going to go? Because it doesn't look random. It looks very intentional and very thoughtful.
It is. Their team is incredibly nice to work with. The difference in the garden from the last time they visited to this time was really what made them agree to come back a second time. It's a totally different garden than last time. We've added so many new garden spaces. They were really inspired. Their team comes in and selects the sites. They do repeat some pieces from previous shows, but then we also have some pieces that were blown and put together just for our show.
Well, Amanda, for those gardeners among us who don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to install chihulies, what would you recommend? Because sculpture is such an impactful thing in the garden.
It absolutely is, and you're right. Not everybody is going to be able to have a chihuly in their garden, but you may have an urn or a favorite sculpture or even a bench that you want to highlight in your garden, and it is a great way to add a little bit of interest to your garden. Using the plants to either color complement or contrast in colors with that object you're trying to complement, it's a great way to add interest to the garden.
It absolutely is. Amanda, thank you so much for spending the day with us. We had a wonderful time.
Thank you. It's nice to see y'all again.
Each week we travel the country north to south, east to west, visiting some of the most exciting gardens, as well as talking to industry horticulturalists about design principles, new plants, and also how you can be most successful with your home gardens. We also love answering your gardening questions, so visit us on the web at GardenSMART.com.
DRAM is celebrating 75 years of design and manufacturing of quality watering tools. DRAM products feature 9 water patterns and are designed to nurture your plants with a shower of rain. DRAM for lawn and garden, available at garden centers near you.
Bring the outdoors into your everyday life. Bass Pro Shops can outfit all your adventures, even those in your backyard. Bass Pro Shops, your adventure starts here.
Whether your idea of the perfect rose is a rambler, tea, shrub, or climber, Bear Advanced makes a rose care product designed to feed and protect them against insects and disease. Get more from the blue bottle.
Hey there, little Red Riding Hood. You sure are looking good.
Today we visited one of our favorite southern gardens, picked up some great tips on gardening with edible plants, annuals, and sculpture. If you have questions about anything you've seen today, visit us on the web at GardenSMART.com. You can also like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Remember, even if you're a master gardener, there's always more to learn. So join us next week for more great gardening tips and ideas as we garden smart.